Welcome back to RealVacantLand.com. This is Luke Smith, and I've got a little bit of a different one for you today. This one is a multifamily property. I put it up here over my head, multifamily land, and I get a lot of people asking about properties. Can I take this and can I build a couple houses on it? Can I have a couple mobile homes on it? Can I park like 50 different RVs on the property, or whatever their question is? Like, I get questions all day long. And it's like I'm always explaining the difference between residential properties and commercial properties. Residential properties are usually, for the most part, most everywhere I deal land, it's a single family. You can put one house on there, and there's all kinds of regulations. That's where the most rules stack up and go, is on residential properties. And everybody wants to do all these things, and they want to shop residential properties. So residential properties are usually the cheapest ones because they're limited the most by what you can do on those properties. It's usually one family, one house, maybe a little bit more in some places, but usually one family can go on that property. And the price of that property is dictated by the use of that one family. And now if you take a property and subdivide it into multiple properties, you put multiple houses on what used to be one property is now multiple properties. That's one way to unlock value in land. Another way is to have multiple users of the same property. Like, you could take a property and build a football arena or stadium or something on there, and you have thousands or maybe even 100,000 people could use that property. That's a way to increase value something dramatically. Or you could build a 50-story building and have offices on each floor, or apartments or homes or something on each floor. A whole bunch of people can use that property. You could sell off each one or rent out each one individually. The economics go ballistic when you take a piece of vacant land and do something that drastic to it. And so the values of properties that you can do those kinds of changes to usually reflect that in the first place. The person that owns the land usually understands that and prices that into the property, but not always. So in this case, we've got this property in the background here. This one is just outside of Portland, Oregon. It's in a little suburb called Gresham, just off to the east of Portland, Oregon. And Portland is having a housing crisis. The prices are high. People have a hard time paying for housing. And everyone's trying whatever way they can to create more housing, build more housing, and supply more housing. And so they're in that kind of mode right now. And so I've got this property here, which is 0.63 acres. And it's zoned multifamily. Like, you can have multiple units on this property. And a couple different developers have looked at it. And with the zoning and the square footage and stuff, they were thinking kind of 12-ish units. And digging in deeper with setbacks and stuff, it sounds more like 7 or 8 units. So they've done the homework on this, and it sounds like you could build 7 or 8 units on this property. Units being like apartments or condos of some kind with all the regulations that are there. And I don't know the regulations to the utmost. I'm not a lawyer or architect to take you down that road, but from my understanding, it's about 7 or 8 units that you could build on this property. So you could build an apartment complex with parking. I think you have to have a play structure for the kids to do that. And there's your 7 or 8 units and the play structure and a parking lot for the people that are going to live there. And then you can go rent them out, and that's where the economics of a property like this comes into fashion. And so I don't usually have these kinds of properties on the website. This one actually is not on the website. I usually sell these ones to realtors and let them explain what I'm trying to explain in this video and market it to people who understand that and are willing to pay for it. But you guys are smart, and so I figure I like to show these ones along with the other ones, and I'll try a different flavor. This is a different kind of video. That's where I'm going. So I got this property for sale, land for sale. They just put the sign up. Here's the realtors that are working on this. Tom Gusto, here's his phone number right here. You can call him. He's the local guy. I'll give you a tour. He'll take you through the regulations and stuff a lot better than I can, and represent it more than I can. And if you call me and ask questions, I'm just going to send you to Tom. He's a specialist in this, and he's going to be the one running the show. But I'll present it a little bit and show you what I can see about this property. I'm just behind the scenes. Tom's out front waving the flag on this property. Okay, so I haven't been putting these kinds of properties on the website because I'm not the best at answering the questions, but I'm trying. So here's the property. So this is a different piece of software, and this is here it is. There's a main street right out front. You could have signage, say for rent signs and stuff to get new tenants into your property if you like. And it's a big street. There's a bunch of traffic going by. That's good for um, apartment complexes because it lowers your cost of advertising to get new tenants in. So if you have them back way back in the woods where you probably want to live, away from people, it's really hard to get new tenants in there. But if you're up front and center, lots of people driving by, it's a lot easier to get tenants in there. It's going to be cheaper to run that apartment building over time, and your costs are going to be lower. So here's Gresham down below. Here's the town, and we'll keep zooming out. I'll show you. Here's the river above, and here's Portland over there. You can see Portland. Maybe if I move the map over a little bit, I'm looking at multiple screens here. So which one I can see myself on. So here's Portland, Oregon. The property is right over here. It's Gresham. And this whole area is just hot. The statistics are screaming, stuff's buying, selling, trading back and forth. I mean, it's a really hot market to go into. And so I wanted to show you, so ours was 0.63 acres. I've got this website pulled up. If you've never used this one, this is Crexi, crexi.com. I've been using this one a lot more. And a lot of different commercial properties. It's just fun and easy to use. And so we've got the stuff that's up for sale in the Portland area. And this one, it didn't have this property on it. And none of these websites are all comprehensive. You have to go through a bunch of them. So I narrowed it down to land, and I did residential, commercial, and I didn't do the other stuff. And so the prices of these, I just wanted land. This one's already built. This is just some old junk building you probably ripped down, but 1.1 million. Here's some more junk building you probably ripped down. 1.4 for a parking lot. 2.4 for a quarter acre. It's half the size of mine. Some more junk buildings you probably ripped down and build apartments on. 3.2 million. There's a parking lot. 4 million. 4.5 million. There's $1 million, more junky stuff you probably ripped down. You might as well be land, these old buildings. Here's plus or minus 2 acres, 3.3 million, 800,000 for 5,000 square foot. It's like less than half of the size of mine. There's another one, 950,000 for this. So you get the idea. The prices are all over the place. They're all monumentally higher than what I'm asking on mine. I'm asking 300 and hope I had the number right. $325,000. Yeah, asking $325,000. So I'm like less than half of basically everybody else in the market, except for maybe the ones that are half my size. And so I'm talking the whole county. So I'm less than half multifamily land price in the whole county. So let's go over to LoopNet. LoopNet, maybe you've heard of. LoopNet is the classic old codger of commercial land sales. Charges a fortune, but they've got stuff on here. They've actually got my property on here. So at the top of the list up here, $325,000 for one commercial lot, 0.63 acres. So I'm zoomed into the area, and for vacant land stuff in the area, LoopNet's got a bunch of them listed over here. So we'll zoom into the area some more and compare other ones. So zooming into the area that focuses on just the ones that are for sale in this area. 1.175 for one acre residential. 8 million for 1.8 acres. 975 for 1 acres. 2 million for 1.3 acres. This is my property again. See this common theme here when I'm selling land? Look at our price. $325,000. This is way below everybody else. People think there's something wrong with it, priced it so low. Here's another low one. Here's a junk building. You could point, so it's half our size, $650,000. Multiple times our size of some more buildings you're going to rip down. $2 million. Used car parking lot, $1 million. Commercial lot, 0.45 acres. It's smaller than mine. 5 million, 8 million, 3 million, 1 million, million, half million. Here's a cheaper one, 0.16 acres. Mine's a lot bigger than that. I'm still asking less price. Maybe we can go through. This is just, there's a cheap one. Here's a cheap one. So what's going on with that one? Commercial lot, 374. So I got some competition, but it's half the size of mine. Half the size, and it doesn't have the traffic out front. 700,000, 4 million, 3 million. There's 390 zoned for this use. Okay, so you could put like a row house so on this 0.4 acre. There's one at 390. So maybe there's some that are kind of getting close to this price. And I look at these and I compare, you know. So it's got like a shed on it, and you could theoretically put a row house on there. It's not on a busy street where you can advertise like mine. That's the market. That's it. Like for the most part, I'm less than half the price of the competition. And so if you're interested in this property, um, let me take you back to this screen. So if you're interested in this property in Gresham, Oregon, I don't have it on the website. I'll try to add it now that I'm making this video. I'll try to add it to the website so there's something to go back to and look at in the maps and everything, like all my other properties. But if you're interested in an income producing kind of property where you go buy a property like this, you hire an architect who knows all the local rules and regulations to design a building that would have the most units possible that you could rent out, or maybe condo out, but probably rent out and just sell the whole building as a rental unit. You could take this thing, have the architect design it, come up with the most cost efficient, highest rent producing possible building for the uses that you can get into this property. So you'd be hiring an architect. The architect would probably know some construction firms that like to build their stuff, or you could find a construction firm and build the building. You have to put up the money, maybe you talk to your bank, maybe you have the money or whatever, finance it, and then get it rented out. You know, you could hire a management company, rent it out for you, and then you'll get rent. And that yield in today's market, lots of times it's like a 6 cap. So do your math off of what other rental buildings are going for in the area. You'd be selling a new one, and work the math backwards and see how much you can afford to pay for this property versus creating new units and selling it as a income producing building. I think there's a lot of spread there. I think there's, you know, some number with 6 zeros beyond it that you get to keep out of doing that trade. And I don't know what the timeline would be to pull that off. And it depends on who you hire and how ingenuitive you are at putting the pieces together and knocking it out. But I think there's a big opportunity there for the right individual to come along, or company, organization, to go take this one for a run. The cheapest multifamily land in the area, and just served up, ready to go. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Give Tom here a call, Tom Gusto, to take you through the details of it. I'll put his name and number in the comments or in the description of this video down below, and see if this one's right for you. Thank you. See you in the next one. Bye.